for the Connect. So I ran to GameStop to get a Connect, and she ran to Old Navy, didn't get it. So we get out of both those stores. Then we had to go to Toys R Us and wait in line for an hour.
Won't you listen to reason? Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion, it's gotta go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Atheist Experience Live. This is Sunday, November 28th, 2010. I'm Matt Dillhoney, joining me Jen Peoples. Welcome. You've been under the weather-ish?
I have a horrible cold.
Oh boy, stay on that side of the, there's like an invisible wall right here. So this is a kind of quiet post-Thanksgiving Sunday. We got a limited studio audience, and I have no idea how many callers we're gonna get. And I didn't even bring any notes. You're getting me completely off the cuff, even with regard to the announcements. This program is sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. For more information about the ACA, you can visit the website www.atheist-community.org. You can also find our other program, The Nonprofits, which is an audio podcast, no video. And you can go to nonprofitsradio.com for information about that program. It's PROPHETS, Nonprofits Radio. We were not live yesterday. We will be live again. We're supposed to be live next week, and I just realized that there's two major conflicts next week. So there may not be a nonprofit show next week. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain of it. So we'll push that a week. And things may get sketchier on the holidays, but we appreciate everybody's patience. And the show is, in fact, back. And we may be shifting it to every week as often as we can. In addition to those efforts, the ACA also hosts a lecture series the first Sunday of every month at the Austin History Center, which would be next Sunday, but we're not having the lecture next Sunday. Instead, on Saturday, Sean Faircloth from the Secular Coalition for America will be in town, and I'll let Jen give you more details on that in just a minute. Additionally, next Sunday, if everything goes as planned, author Darrell Ray, who has been on the show before, will be in town and on the show with me to talk a little bit about how religion perverts sexuality, among other things. And we'll be taking your calls. As always, this is a live television, live call-in television program. We'll have the number posted up in just a minute. We've moved to the bigger studio, so if you had the old number, it's no longer correct. And you'll see the new number in just a minute, and I'll read it off. There it is, 512-472-2255. We've already got like 3 people on the line, but I wanted to let you talk about Sean Faircloth's visit a little bit.
Yeah, Sean Faircloth, as Matt said, he's the executive director for the Secular Coalition of America, and he's going to be talking about a secular vision for America. We originally planned to have this on campus at the University of Texas, and that fell through as of just a few days ago, so we're shifting the venue. We will now be at the First Unitarian Universalist Church. Excuse me, sorry, I do have a cold today, so anyway, so we're going to shift the venue. It's going to be at the First UU Church, and that's going to be at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday. And his talk will probably go about an hour, and then we'll have some question and answer. If you live in the Austin area, please check with our website. We will be updating the meetup notice to reflect the new venue, and also we'll probably be tweeting that and putting out more information about where to get to us. But we'd like it very much if you would either contact the TV list or co-chair at atheist-community.org and let us know if you're coming. So if you're in the Austin area next weekend, we'd love to have you at this event. I think you'll get a lot out of it. Sean's an excellent speaker.
And I'll be talking probably to Claire with CFI so that other folks in the area find out about this. And we need to spread the word because the venue has changed. So we kind of got caught by surprise a little bit. So we're shifting gears. And having met Sean a number of times now and spoken to him at the Texas Free Thought Convention, I'm excited about his decade-long plan for the secular community to take back America. And if, for those of you who'd be interested in hearing more about that, please come on down to the event. Also, now that the first of the holidays and the holiday season is out of the way, I was hoping, I don't know, there may be a call coming in. I didn't hear back from Dave Silverman, but American Atheist has got their billboard up, and there was coverage, I guess, on Fox News either this morning or yesterday morning. I saw the video clip today about that as well. And in either just before the Christmas holiday or just after the Christmas holiday, we'll be planning on restarting the Godless Gamers board game, card game, miscellaneous party game event. That'll be at My Best Place. And if you're interested in participating in that, just send an email. Probably be better to send it to president@atheist-community.org or even info at either one, so that we keep it off the TV list, because I'm just compiling a list of people to email and let them know about the event. But we got full lines, and I don't know if you had something you wanted to talk to real quick.
It actually kind of goes along with Sean's vision for a secular decade. I was looking at some articles in Christianity Today, because I think it's important to go and take a look at, maybe how, since Christians are the dominant religious group in this country, kind of look at how they perceive this mass exodus from Christianity that people are doing. And so this article is pretty interesting. It started out with the usual quotes about people leaving the church, and then they call them the leavers, okay, as opposed to believers. Anyway, so the leavers, they quote the usual statistics about how the number of people claiming no religion nearly doubled between 1990 and 2008. It also cites statistics like 22% of 18 to 29-year-olds claim no religion, and that's up from 11% in 1990. And some additional stuff like 73% of those who leave were from religious homes, and 66% of them described themselves as deconverts. So in looking at all of these numbers, there's almost this sense of not really panic, but a growing awareness that this is a serious issue for Christianity. And this guy that wrote this article, his name is Drew Dyke, and he categorizes leavers into 6 categories. And he admits that this is not a very precise way of doing it, but he looks at sort of like broad categories. So you've got the postmodern people, the recoilers, which is an interesting group, because I think that's probably one that people are really familiar with because of the news about abuses by pastors and things like that. So these are the people that have had a negative experience in the church. Modernists, which actually is the category I think that most of us fall into, that we've examined the evidence in favor of religious claims, and we found it lacking. The neo-pagans, those who go from Christianity to some kind of, earth-based religion or whatever. Woo. Yeah. The rebels, that's kind of the youthful rebellion against the parental views. And then the drifters, and that's those who don't really make a conscious decision to reject their beliefs. They just sort of drift away from it and stop going to church. Yeah,
religion, their religious beliefs stop being relevant to like their daily lives and things.
Right.
And I think there's, some interesting notes in those categories and how they interrelate, because I've talked before about how I think that a period of distancing from the constant reinforcement that a lot of people get in their religious beliefs, where everybody in their family is a believer, everybody, they're in church all the time. When you get away from that constant reinforcement and you drift away, I think it demonstrates something very significant about how religions manage to keep people, and how it's not tied to the truth of the religious claims.
Exactly.
That is very much social and kind of interdependent.
Right, and it requires regular reinforcement. And it's pretty clear that, because when they talk about how There was a Barna Group study that said approximately 80% of those raised in the church will be disengaged before they reach age 30. And I think those people who become disengaged comprise a very large part of the people who at some point ultimately reject religion altogether. And that kind of speaks to the idea that this requires regular reinforcement. You know, if you indoctrinate kids into religion early on, you still have to reinforce it, because once they get out in the world and they start learning things,
Right.
suddenly it doesn't make sense. And I found it really remarkable that this, one of the groups here, actually, the kids stopped going to church between 18 and 22. That's where the biggest bulk of them, about 70%, will stop going to church. It's about the time they get to college.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
join the military.
Yeah.
Or anything else that takes them away from that constant, you know, that environment where this is just what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then he goes on to talk about the church's typical responses, and it's I say the church, it's not necessarily like a formal response, but typically people within the church, their typical responses are judgment. You know, they launch into these sermons about, you know, what Jesus did for you and all this stuff, and or they just fail to engage at all.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the reasons why we've seen a rise. Although I think it's in decline now, but at least in recent years, in the last 15 or 20 years, of megachurches that have a more hip, almost secular in many cases,
Yeah.
service with younger ministers who will get up in jeans and a t-shirt and play guitar, play some secular song that they will then try to spin as religious. We went to Gateway here, I guess it was 3 years ago or so, and you know, they were playing a song that was popular on the radio,
Yeah.
and then did it in a way where they respun it as if it was a religious song, which I have to admit, at least made the service much more enjoyable. I would have rather listened
Yeah.
to that than, you know, oh, come, all you know, whatever.
Yeah.
The old rugged cross.
Well, in this article, he actually cites that as one of the problems with the recent churches, because in his view, it inoculates people against what he considers to be a genuine faith. It's like, well, yeah, you know, if real life inoculates you against these fanciful claims, then, well, so be it.
It's kind of twofold. I think that some of the more secularized services in the megachurches and things were done to try to curtail this problem that they've seen happening. And I do agree with him in the sense that I think it contributes to it, because what do we see happening in kind of the moderate and liberal Christian community? And that is this idea that that the tradition part is irrelevant, and that, yeah, we've had all these discussions about biblical contradictions and theological, you know, positions, but what really matters is, you know, your personal relationship, etc. And once you take that step and put it on people's heads, then they are allowed, given the kind of the freedom to freeform create their own theology. And you know, recently I've been in an email conversation with a young lady who is LDS, but she's not an LDS in any type that I've come across before. And she's actually trying to put together a kind of a thesis on her blog showing how all religions are correct on some level about, you know, the fundamental points. And what we're seeing is the building of new kind of homogenous religious structures that, you know, I'll applaud them all day long for being far less fundamental and damaging than the traditional elements of religion, but they're still false. And the thing is, you don't want to poke at them too hard, because this may be some people's pathway to reality.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's one of the things that John Loftus has said. I think it was John Loftus has said a couple times that one of the things that has kept Christianity alive for so long is its ability to adapt to new environments.
Yeah.
So the truth claims are still, you know, very much in play, but you know, it just adapts.